Welcome back to Nation of Glory, the channel where the biggest dreams in Hollywood and wrestling come alive through real hearts and real stories. Today we're sitting down for something truly special, something that's going to pull you in, hold you close, and maybe even leave a few tears on your cheek by the time we're done. This is the full, unfiltered, emotional journey of a woman who has lived more lives in 30 years than most people do in 100. You might have known her as the controversial, fearless Gigi Dolin in NXT. Some of you remember her as the wild, blood-drinking, tampon-throwing Hell's favorite harlot on The Independents. Others first saw her crying on a reality show at 19, trying to make it as a valet in a world that told her she was too young, too small, too everything. But right now, in this moment, she's simply Priscilla Lee Kelly, a free spirit wrestling on the indie scene under her real name, carrying scars, smiles, and a heart that refuses to quit. So grab something warm to drink, turn the lights down low, and let me take you all the way back to the beginning, because this story deserves to be felt, not just watched. Picture a little town called Acworth, Georgia, just far enough outside Atlanta that you can still hear crickets at night and see stars if the sky's clear. On June 5, 1997, Priscilla Lee Kelly came screaming into the world, born to a mom who was barely out of her teens herself and a dad who loved music more than stability. Life wasn't easy from day one. Money was tight, walls were thin, and arguments were loud. Priscilla learned early how to disappear into her imagination. While other kids played with dolls, she was creating entire universes in her bedroom, talking to characters only she could see, dreaming of a life bigger than the trailer park she called home. But there was love too, fierce love. Her mom worked double shifts just to keep food on the table, and Priscilla still tears up talking about the nights her mom would fall asleep on the couch still wearing her waitress uniform because she was too exhausted to change. Those images never left her. They became fuel. By the time she was 12, Priscilla discovered professional wrestling on late-night television. She didn't just watch it, she absorbed it. The drama, the athleticism, the way a single look from a wrestler could make 30,000 people lose their minds, that was magic to her. She started training in her backyard with neighborhood kids, using a trampoline as a ring and old mattresses as crash pads. She'd film the matches on a flip phone and upload the shaky videos to YouTube under names nobody would ever find. She was tiny, barely 5 feet tall even in high school, and adults laughed when she said she wanted to be a wrestler. "You're too small, sweetheart. Pick something realistic." Those words hurt, but they also lit a fire. She started saving every dollar from babysitting, every birthday check from her grandma, because she knew one day she'd need plane tickets, training money, something to get her out. At 17, everything changed. A new reality show called The Wrestlers, Fighting with My Family, was looking for young women to be valets for independent wrestlers. Priscilla lied about her age, forged her mom's signature, and drove herself to the audition in a beat-up Honda Civic that smelled like old fries. She walked in wearing cut-off shorts and a homemade tank top that said, "Future Legend," in puffy paint. The producers saw something in her eyes, something wild and hungry, and they put her on television. Suddenly the girl from Acworth was on national TV, traveling the country, standing ringside while grown men bled for entertainment. She was still in high school, sneaking homework between towns, calling her teachers from gas station payphones to beg for extensions. The show only lasted one season, but it gave her two priceless things: her first real taste of the road, and the realization that the camera loved her pain just as much as it loved her smile. 18 came fast. Graduation night, most of her classmates were getting drunk in fields. Priscilla was on a Greyhound bus headed to Atlanta to train at the WWA4 wrestling school. She paid for it with every cent she'd saved since she was 12. The first day they made her run the ropes until her shoulders bled. The second day they taught her how to take a back bump on a ring that felt like concrete. She cried in the locker room, not because it hurt, though it did, but because she was finally home. This was where she belonged. She started wrestling locally under the name Priscilla Kelly, the sweet-sounding name hiding a storm that was building inside her. She married young, too young, to a fellow wrestler who promised her the world. For a while it felt like they were unstoppable, two kids against the universe. But the road is cruel to love, and by 21 she was divorced, heartbroken, and sleeping on friends' couches with nothing but a duffel bag and a dream that suddenly felt heavier than ever. That's when Priscilla decided to stop playing nice. If the world wanted to call her too small, too pretty, too soft, she'd give them something they couldn't ignore. She created the character that would both make her famous and haunt her for years, the Hell's favorite harlot. Black lipstick, torn fishnets, a mouth that spat blood like it was communion wine. She did things in matches that made crowds gasp, made promoters panic, made the internet explode. There was the infamous tampon spot in 2018, yeah, that one. People called her disgusting. They called her a gimmick. They said she'd never be taken seriously. But backstage, veterans pulled her aside and told her the truth. Kid, you just made sure nobody ever forgets your name. And they haven't. That moment became a scar and a badge of honor at the same time. She still gets messages from young women who saw that match and finally felt brave enough to be unapologetically themselves. That's the part she holds onto when the hate comments come rolling in. Through all the chaos, Priscilla kept evolving. She wrestled in Japan, bleeding in front of silent crowds who respected the art more than the shock. She worked Mexico, learning Spanish swear words and how to blade without crying. She headlined tiny venues in front of 50 people and sold out festivals in front of thousands. Every stamp in her passport was proof she was building something real. But the toll was heavy. Eating disorders, anxiety attacks in gas station bathrooms, nights where she sat in her car and sobbed because she missed her mom so much it physically hurt. She'd call home at 3 a.m. from some random town in Ohio and just listen to her mom breathe on the other end of the line until she could fall asleep. Those phone calls saved her life more than once. Then, in 2019, everything she'd bled for paid off. WWE came calling. They saw the viral clips, the sold-out indie shows, the girl who could make 10,000 people scream with a single look. She signed with NXT and became Gigi Dolin, one half of Toxic Attraction alongside Mandy Rose and JC Jane. The character still had edge, but it was polished, televised, safe enough for sponsors but still dangerous enough to feel like her. Gigi Dolin was a rock star, a mean girl with a heart you could sometimes glimpse if you looked close enough. And for 2 years, Priscilla lived a dream. Sold out takeovers, action figures with her face, little girls dressing up as Gigi for Halloween. She won the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Twice. She main evented television episodes. She stood on the ramp with pyro exploding behind her and thought, little girl from Acworth, you did it. But dreams have expiration dates if you don't protect your soul. Behind the glamour, Priscilla was burning out. The schedule, the politics, the pressure to be on 24/7, it started eating the parts of her she loved most. She missed creating. She missed the freedom of the indies where a match could be whatever she felt that night. She missed being Priscilla, not just Gigi. And then there were the injuries, a neck that wouldn't stay in place, concussions that left her forgetting words mid-sentence. In 2024, after 5 years with the company that once felt like destiny, she asked for her release. Walking away from WWE is career suicide for some people. For Priscilla, it felt like finally breathing again. Today, at 28 years old, Priscilla Lee Kelly is back on the independent scene wrestling under her real name. No gimmicks, no filters, just her. She dyes her hair whatever color feels right that week. She wears gear her mom helped design. She cries in the ring when the moment calls for it and laughs when something goes wrong because that's life. She's headlining shows for promotions like GCW and DPW, selling more tickets than ever because people aren't coming to see a character anymore, they're coming to see a woman who survived everything and still chooses joy every single night. She's happier than she's ever been. She found love again, real love this time, with a man who holds her hand in the cereal aisle and tells her she's enough even on days she can't get out of bed. She's talking openly about therapy, about body image, about the dark years she almost didn't make it through. Little girls send her drawings now that say, "Thank you for being brave." Promoters call her the heart of the indies, because when Priscilla is on a show, people feel something real. And the future. It's wide open. Hollywood's been sniffing around. She's already filmed a couple small roles and producers love that she can cry on cue and do her own stunts. AEW keeps leaving the door cracked. WWE never burns a bridge with someone this special. They know she could walk back tomorrow if she wanted. But right now she's exactly where she needs to be. Free, healing, and wrestling for the purest reason, because it still makes that little girl from Acworth feel like she can fly. Priscilla's Storyly once said something in an interview that stuck with me. I've been the villain, the princess, the freak, the champion, the failure, the viral sensation, and the girl nobody wanted to book. But every single version taught me that the only thing that matters is still getting up when the music hits. Because as long as I can do that, I win. So that's the story of Priscilla Lee Kelly. Not a fairy tale with a clean ending, but a real one, messy and beautiful and still being written. A reminder that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the dream everyone else wanted for you, and go find the one that lets you sleep at night. Thank you for spending this time with us here on Nation of Glory. If Priscilla's journey touched even a tiny piece of your heart, do me a favor, hit that like button so this story can find someone else who needs it tonight. Share it with the dreamers, the fighters, the ones who feel too small or too broken or too much. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring that bell because we tell these kinds of stories every single week. Stories about people who turn pain into power and never stop rising. I'm your host, and until next time, stay glorious, stay kind to yourselves, and keep fighting for the version of you that feels like home. We'll see you soon.